What's going on, guys? Welcome back. We've taken a look at a number of different Evangelion kits in recent years, but they've basically just been the Bandai RG line. But now with this kit, we're taking a look at another Kotobukiya Evangelion kit. This is the new release that comes with the Spear of Cassius. So this is obviously the Eva Unit 01. I know a lot of you guys are probably interested in the differences between the Kotobukiya kits and the Bandai kits, and the Bandai kits and the Bandai RG kits they're all kind of different. So we'll take a look at that in today's review. Here, starting off with the Eva Unit 01 with Spear of Cassius. Starting off, just taking a look at the box artwork here, it really is very cool, and definitely if you're a fan of the TV series, it really gives off that vibe. Just the artwork just really reminds me a lot of the TV show, even though this is the Spear of Cassius, different from what appeared in the TV show anyway. With the painting of the Eva with the eyes glowing there in the background, and then with that bright glowing green here for the accents on the body, it's looking really awesome. Let's go around here onto the side of the box. We got the same artwork on this side, and then on the bottom of the box, here's a look at what the kit is going to look like when it's all painted up front and back. A couple of action poses here with the lance, and then some gimmicks with the back of it opening up, the mouth opening up. The included option parts will be the opening shoulder parts for the progressive knife, the rifle, the umbilical cable, and then a bunch of different hand option parts. And then we do have some water slide decals included for some markings as well. And then on the other side of the box, we have a sample image here showing what the kit is going to look like completely unpainted, just built straight out of the box. So that's how good it's going to look. And then we have the list price here of 6,000 yen for this kit. Popping open the box, and we've got our black inner parts there, and of course all the typical Eva colors. Making our way to the instruction manual, here is the assembly instructions there. Looking very cool how the instructions are made to look like a kind of like nerve file here with the top secret on there and everything. Inside the front page, we have some history here. This is scenes from the first of the Rebuild movies with the Eva Unit 01. There's Shinji, and here's some more images of the model kits, so some details and the cool action shot there holding the rifle, and then with the Spear of Cassius. Next page is going to have our parts list, and then from there on it's just the construction of the kit all the way to the end of the manual, where here we have our color guide right there for you, all the colors, and then over here as well, continued on, just all the little detail colors around everywhere. The decal marking guide is actually right here on the previous page, so just a couple decals to go on the arms, the shoulder, the back of the head, and that's really going to be about it. So here's a quick look at that decal sheet, and yeah, as you can see, it's pretty minimal, but those will add some nice detail to the finished kit. So with this kit, we are going to have a number of pre-painted parts. Here's a few of them in bags, orange pieces and green pieces with some black painted on. Then we got a black piece here for the eyes with the white painted on, a piece there with a little bit of green, and then here is our O runner, which is basically just the entry plug piece. We got some poly caps here in black, and our cable for the entry plug, which unfortunately doesn't have any kind of wire inside, so it's not going to be malleable, unlike the Bandai RG Evangelion. Here's our A runner with a bunch of armor pieces in purple. And if we look closely at the back of the runner, you can see this runner is from 2013 originally. So as I expected, probably a lot of this kit will be recycled from the original Kotobukiya Evangelion Unit 1 kit. Runners B, C, and D are some more of our purple armor pieces. Here on the C runner, you can see a little bit of green pre-painting on there. And the D runner is basically going to be all of our hand parts for the kit. Runners E, F, and G are going to be all of our black pieces, which are going to be all of our internal pieces here for the kit. There on the F runner, you can see those are our forearm pieces, and just some more joined pieces here on the G runner, of which we have 2 of those. Runner H is going to be some of our bright green parts. Runner I is going to be in a dark gray color. And runner J is going to be some more of the bright green accents. Runner K is going to be some of our weapon pieces here in a light bluish gray. Runners L and M are going to be our orangish yellow color pieces, again for some accent bits. Runner N is a couple more pieces in a light bluish gray color. And then runner P is a couple of new parts for our hands. Finally, last but not least, of course, runner Q is going to be here in dark red for our Lance of Cassius parts, and that's about it. But all in all, that makes for 8 colors in total that you'll have with this kit. Let's go ahead and get it put together and see how it looks. Alright guys, here is the kit all built up and it looks great. There's definitely some pros and cons between this and, for example, the Bandai Real Grade, and that's what I'm going to be using for like the main comparison between the two, just because they're both kind of coming out in recent history. So say, for example, if you were on the fence between Bandai's Real Grade and this kit, I want to let you guys know some pros and cons between the two, so to help you guys decide as to which version you might want to pick up for your collection. We'll get into it now with all of the accessories and articulation and everything, and then kind of summarize everything at the end. So let's go ahead and talk about the articulation first. And starting off with the head here, the mouth does open up. So you can see you can get a pretty wide opening there with that. The head articulation up all the way to there, down. Yes, these shoulder pieces fall off kind of easily, and that's going to be happening a number of times, so we'll just kind of ignore that for the moment. We've got a double joint at the neck, one at the top and one at the bottom, to give you a pretty good range of movement up and down, and some nice color separation between all the different colors and everything going on up in the neck area there. You can also tilt the neck side to side a little bit like this, which is quite nice at both joints anyway, so that works really well. And then of course you can rotate that. Going back around here to the back, the entry plug, the way that this opens up is really cool. So you actually just lift up this back part and you can see it kind of opens up this part at the same time and pops the entry plug out while you're opening that. So you have this really nice set of movement there that's kind of everything opens all at once, which is quite cool. Here's your entry plug out of the kit. It's got some detail on it, but again, with it being white and without painting it or anything, it's gonna be a little bit difficult to see there, but there you go. In the stomach section, of course, we have a number of joints there, which will give you a pretty good range of movement forward and back. That little bit there kind of gets a little bit hung up. You can extend that out, and then of course you have some movement here side to side as well, some rotation kind of between the sections of the torso there. Now these shoulder bits are just connected via the small ball joint there, and that's why they kind of tend to fall off quite easily. This part here on the top also just kind of loose, but again, that's also just so that you can easily swap it out with this piece. And I'll just kind of getting onto the accessories here for a moment. This is an accessory piece that you can swap out to have that looking like it's opened up, deploying the progressive knife, which is a cool thing, how you can just swap out this entire section, but it does mean that this part is kind of loose here in the top of the shoulder, so you might just want to tighten that up a bit, make sure that doesn't get lost. Anyway, the shoulder joint itself will swing forward and back like that. You can bring the arm up to about 90 degrees, and that's going to be about the extent of your upward movement of that. Then you got some rotation there at the top. You also have some rotation here down below the elbow joint. Elbow joint gonna give you about 90 degrees, and that's gonna be about the extent of that. The hand is just on a simple ball joint, but it's not connected to like the forearm guard like the RG is, the Bandai RG, so that's kind of nice. And it is actually a double ball joint in there, so you have a pretty good range of movement, but again, it does feel like that could come off kind of easily. It's not at the moment. They're gonna be, but again, just be a little bit careful with that. The hips, these will pull down, and then you can extend them out for a pretty good range of movement out to the side, up to the front and back. Obviously not going to have any issue there. And then here, bending the knee, you have a nice full double joint there, which will give you basically 180 degrees bend, so that's good. And this little bit of knee armor here does also move. You didn't like see it move automatically when I bend the knee, but you can move that just kind of manually. Down here at the ankles, this little green bit there on the front is just on a little ball joint. You can bend the toe a little bit there like that. The foot will go all the way up. Underneath the feet, some nice detail. Down to there, again, just this popped off the ball joint, so just be careful with that. And some nice movement here, ankle movement side to side. One thing you'll notice about the kit there on the top of the foot, here on the front of the shin, and just kind of all over the kit, you've got seam lines basically on everything. So if you're wanting to paint the kit or anything, or if you want to get rid of the seam lines, there's going to be quite a few of them to get rid of. Other accessories are going to include the progressive knife here, which is just a single piece. Again, nice detail on that, but just very simple, of course. Same thing with the rifle, with it being very thin and just a single piece. You don't have any seam lines, which is nice, but it's going to be lacking in color separation. The detail's there, but it's going to take a lot more effort to get this painted up to look in its official colors. We have our umbilical cable here, which again has seam lines, kind of lacking in color separation, and being just a loose rubber cord here without any wire inside, you can't really form it to anything, so you would want to get some kind of wire or something to plug into that, but that just plugs onto the back just fine. But yeah, I would recommend you guys to get a bit of metal wire or something if you want to actually be able to pose this, and you just string it up through there, because this is hollow. So if you have like a probably 1.5 millimeter or 1 millimeter, 1.5 millimeter gauge wire. You could string it up through there. Got an optional piece here for the butt, which you can swap out if you want to use this with a Kotobukiya flying base to do like aerial poses or just different dynamic poses that are kind of hard to do on the ground. And your hand options, of course, aside from just open resting hands, you have your open expressive hands. You also kind of have these open like tension hands there. You got closed fists, and basically 3 sets of holding hands, 1 set for the progressive knives, 1 set for your rifle, and then a 3rd set that are specifically for the spear. So basically just the opening's a little bit different in each of these, and you have these all for the left and the right, so whichever hand you want to hold those in. And then of course our main weapon is the spear. Now it's really nicely molded here at the end, just with that twisting part there, and it's 28 centimeters long, almost 28 centimeters in length, so it's quite long as well. Really wish we had a color separated part there at the end. That part's supposed to be green, that center part in there, so that would have been nice as a nice green piece in there, but unfortunately you'll have to mask and paint that. But it's a cool weapon, very nice detail on it, but again, just it will take a little bit of work. Not too much, but just a little bit more to get it to really look its best. So let's go over some of the pros and cons with this kit. Ultimately, it does come with a nice arrangement of stuff. You have a lot of nice hand options. You've got some basic weapons like the knife and the rifle and the umbilical cable, and you also have a cool special weapon, which is kind of the main draw of this particular release, is that it comes with the Spear of Cassius, which is very cool. But on the other hand, the accessories, like the kit itself, is missing a fair amount of like detail in terms of like separate colors. So like the hands, all the knuckles on all the hands aren't a separate piece, so you'll have to mask and paint those. All the missing colors and painting required for the rifle, for the umbilical cable, for the spear, and then around on the kit, there's just not too much of it, but there's little bits of color missing from the kit itself. The main problem more so with the kit is just the loose bits here and there, which we saw, and then there's just a lot of seam line removal to be done on it, so those are going to be some of the drawbacks, again, just compared to the RG. So if you're noticing that it basically fails in almost every comparison between this and the RG, I will say the one thing that I do like about this kit, or I guess there's 2 things that I do like about this and I prefer over the RG, is that number 1, it's a little larger, which is nice, and number 2, I just like the design of this. I think it's a nicer looking representation of the Eva, where the RG is a fantastic kit. The RG series from Bandai are really nice. I just like the design of this one more, so if you're like an old school Evangelion fan, I think you probably will agree with me that you're probably going to be a little bit more drawn to this version of the Eva, just in terms of the design and the proportions and everything. I think this one is a nicer looking one, but all things considered, I think Bandai's Real Grade series is the nicer kit, but there's definitely things to like about the Kotobukiya Evangelion kits, and this is only, I think, the 2nd one that I've ever built, so I would like to build some more of them in the future. For example, I'd really like to pick up the TV version of the Eva Unit 2 that has that cloak. It looks really cool. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and whichever version you guys would like to pick up, of course, you can check out the link down in the video description to USA Gundam Store. We carry both the Bandai versions and Kotobukiya versions of different Evangelion model kits, so you can check all of those out down at the link below. And thank you guys as always for checking out the video, liking the video, commenting, subscribing. I do really appreciate it. Until next time, hope you're all having a great day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.